Hello, everybody. Welcome to Mindful Metal Jacket with me, your host and proprietor and sexual healer, Jokester. I'm wearing the same shirt as I wear every episode for the introduction, an Iowa wrestling shirt. In fact, in this episode, I'm noticing I'm wearing an Iowa football shirt. The thing is, when I go to Iowa, people ask me this often. Here's the answer. When I go to Des Moines every year for the Funny Bone and nobody comes to see me, there's not much to do out there in Des Moines. So I go to the mall and there's a store, and I love college sports, so I just buy gear with birds on it. And then I wear it. And people think I'm a fan of the Iowa Hawkeyes or the Iowa State Cyclones because I own both. I'm not. I don't give a shit, but I like t-shirts and I like sports. So there's your answer. Anyways, welcome back to the show. I hope you're doing well. Are you being kind to yourself? Are you taking care of yourself? Are you being of service to others? Those are the keys to happiness, from what I understand. I do them, and yet I'm still not happy. I'm kidding. I am, of course. I'm happy to be here. I'm happy that you're here. Very special episode. We're back to, if you listen every week, the last couple episodes have been on Zoom. The next couple are too. But this is a nice, beautiful 4K shot in the studio. I don't know that it's 4K. It's probably 4K. It's shot in the studio, though. I got my friend, one of my newer pals, Derek Drescher, on the show. You're going to be fascinated by this episode. You're going to love this episode. Derek is a comedian here in New York, absolutely hilarious and a great guy. And he gets really into his past about being addicted to heroin and other things and being in and out of the jail system. We get into his crime and his recovery, and he's been sober for a number of years, clean and sober for a number of years, and just a great guy. He's one of these guys, every time I see him, I'm like, yes, okay, he's here, perfect. You know those people? You can in life, you can be one of those people, or you can be the opposite. You can be a person that when everyone sees you, they go, hey, all right, great. Or you can be one of these guys that's like, oh, God, let's get out of here. Wouldn't you want to choose being the former? Well, Derek's the former. Always happy to see him. Funny guy, always kind, always a great conversation. And this was a great conversation. I really enjoyed the hell out of it. This is on the newer batches of episodes. I just started re-recording. And he was one of the first people I wanted on and got on. And he didn't disappoint. It's a fascinating conversation. Let me see. My producer made some notes here. I don't even know what these mean. But anyways, we talk all about his life as a kid growing up in New York and being a juvenile delinquent and eventually recovering from all that and now kicking ass in comedy and working to help other people recover. And as we talk about often, it's he's doing service to the community, to people that have been through what he went through, and that's the key to all of life, if you ask me. So he's somebody doing it, living it, and I think you're going to find that. I think you're going to enjoy it. Make sure you check out Derek's comedy, too. He's great at posting clips. They're all hilarious. He's got a podcast of his own with my other pal, Gio Perez. I did that podcast. What the hell's the name of it? Any idea, Lex? Look it up on YouTube. Me, Gio, and Derek did it. I should have looked this up. I'm a piece of shit. We'll put it in the show notes. That's what I'll do. I don't know the name of it, but I did it. Isn't that better? You ever sometimes you meet someone and you don't remember their name and they get offended, but you're like, but I remember you. We went to Burger King together. We made love to your wife together. I just don't remember the sound associated with you. On the Gate. On the Gate. Lex looked it up. Episode 53. Well done. Check out his podcast, On the Gate. One of the best podcasts out there, if you ask me. I listen every week. It is a great podcast. I did it. I'm on episode 53. You can check that out. Check out all the others. These guys are hilarious. And I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. So please enjoy my time with my pal, Derek Drescher. Coming at you. Be kind. Rewind. We're here.
I'm not always the most serene.
No, I can't wait. I mean, do you have like I only know you from the stand. We're hanging out. We're bullshitting. Do you still have like a temper? Are you scary? Because you scare me.
Oh, I don't mean to. I I have what you call. I've had emotional relapses. That's what I call them.
Okay.
I call them. Have you ever heard that term
No,
before?
I've never heard that.
Yeah.
I've heard of emotional hangover.
Emotional relapses. I don't have them as much as I used to. It's funny because like my first few years sober, I changed everything, my whole life.
Sure.
I let a lot of my anger go. I also used to run like 50 to 70 miles a week too, so that helped, made me good and tired.
After you got sober?
After I got sober. Yeah, my first 2 years sober, I ran 2 marathons and an ultra marathon.
Wow, you're one of those guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't run anymore though. I'm just fat again.
I mean, was your body? I have no form. I have no questions written down or anything.
Yeah.
So we'll just go free form crazy shit because I'm a runner too, but not like that.
Yeah.
Was your body starting to break down? Is that why you stopped? Was it your fucking dying?
Yeah, because you figure I'm like 33 years old. I was shooting heroin like heavily for the 3 years before that, from 30 to 33. And then, when you first get clean off of heroin, they put you on a lot of meds, and then, so there's weight gain.
Right.
A lot of weight gain. So I started to run, and that helped the weight come off.
Right.
Then I got in with this organization that was like, oh, we'll put you in the marathon. And then I ran the New York City Marathon, and then 2 weeks after that, I ran my first ultra.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you ever run Boston?
No.
I'm always at Boston.
No.
I go to watch, not to run.
Boston's a tough one to get into.
Yeah, I think it's like the toughest, right?
Toughest to get into, to qualify, and then if you get in fundraising, you got to raise a lot of money.
Yeah,
it's like $7,000 or some shit like that. Yeah.
Okay, I don't even know where to start. So you're sober off of heroin. Are you sober on alcohol all the way across?
I don't do anything yet. No mind or mood altering substances. I do drink Heineken 0.0. A lot of older folks won't agree with that.
Now, do you? Yeah, like I've had sponsors that are like that's too close to the fire. It's because you want to whatever, but you don't give a fuck.
Me, I mean, I drank when I was younger. Like I feel like 0.0 is not going to make me want to shoot heroin.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, do you identify as an alcoholic as well, or more just a drug addict?
Alcohol could definitely become a problem for me, 100%. But heroin was my drug of choice, but I've done everything. I just identify as an addict and just somebody with horrible mental illness.
Now, because I always wonder about like Anthony Bourdain. I always found it troubling, not to be like, oh, I saw it coming, man, but like I always thought it was troubling to see a former heroin addict, or maybe was he a crack addict or heroin or both? I can't remember.
I don't remember. I know he was. I think he did. No, he shot heroin.
I think he was a heroin guy, but so. He would always be drinking on the show.
Right.
And to me, and maybe this is just my alcoholic mind, like a heroin addict sober off of heroin drinking alcohol seemed like dangerous territory to me.
I feel like if I was to have 2 or 3 alcoholic beverages, it would completely change my thinking.
Right.
And I'd probably do coke, and then to come down from the coke, I would do heroin.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like say, like with addicts, alcoholics is like my best thinking. Like my best thinking when I was drinking was like, let me go smash out some windshields and steal some fucking street signs. And so, like as soon as I start drinking, my thinking goes south quickly.
Absolutely. Yeah. Is that how you were?
Yeah, I was like a vandal. I'd like to get out. Well, I have anger. I had all this anger and like whatever from family or my parents or sex or all that shit. So I would just start getting fucking revved up.
Right.
And I also had this feeling that was built in me. And I don't know if you had this thing of like, you got to live every moment and life to the fullest. To me, life to the fullest meant we're up all night, we're
Blackout
getting wild,
drunk,
we need stories, let's create some stories, let's steal some shit, break some shit, try to fuck, whatever.
I get that. I understand that completely. I hear you. I never said it like that to myself, but I was definitely in the same wavelength as that. Let's fuck some shit up.
Yeah. Now, did you ever go out breaking shit? I mean, I
remember my buddy Joe. His name was Joe. He was like the smart one of the bunch, right? And he was going away to college.
I always loved the smart one.
Yeah. And, never got in any trouble. And, most of us had already been incarcerated. He's like 18 years old. And it's like the day before he leaves. And I remember I was drinking a 40 of Old English. And, like, the cops, like, roll by us. And then they, like, stopped, like, not far from us. Mm-hmm. And, it's just me and him. I'm, like, seeing him off, spending this last night with him. And I just took the 40 and I fucking threw it at the cop car and smashed on. And then they got out, and then we're running through alleys and shit. He's like, I can't believe this. I'm going to school tomorrow. And I remember where we hid.
Oh, Jesus.
We hid. He's like up against the wall, like with his hands over his head. And he's like, I just want to go to school. I knew I shouldn't have came out. I was like, shut the fuck up, Joe. We're going to be fine. We're going to be fine. And I was just laughing and having a good time, you know. And,
now, had you already been in trouble at this point?
Yeah. I was incarcerated for the first time in juvenile detention when I was about 13 years old.
Wow. Okay, so let's start for your story. You grew up in the city?
Yeah.
In Brooklyn?
In the city, Brooklyn, and then, you know, once I hit those juvenile facilities, I was all around.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So, what was your first infraction? I assume that were you caught the first time you did something fucked up, or you'd kind of been acting up a little bit, and then they got you?
Yeah, I'd done like some small stealing shit from stores, and to get caught. But I stole a car
at 13,
and I got caught. Yeah, it was so weird because when someone called the police on me, like, hey, kid just stole a car, they start following me. I'm like doing the speed limit and like using my directionals as they're
following you. You're like OJ's buddy.
Yeah, exactly.
Who was that?
AC Green?
Yeah, not AC Green. AC. Yeah. Was it AC Green?
I'm down with Dre like AC is down with OJ. That's the song.
Yeah.
I think it's AC Green. I'm pretty sure.
It was AC something.
It's definitely AC.
Can't be AC Green.
Are you talking about
the driver?
Who was driving the car?
Driving the car.
Al Cowlings.
Yeah, Al Cowlings. So they shortened it to AC.
Oh, I could have sworn there was a Green in there.
I think AC Green is a basketball player, isn't he?
You might be right.
Like the Lakers or something. Oh, we're getting derailed.
Yeah, he was a former basketball player.
Yeah, okay. Yeah. But anyways, so he was driving. But yeah, the low speed chase.
Yeah, I'm a kid, and then when they got me like blocked off into this street, I pulled into a dead end street. I made it so much worse because I started like gunning it like towards the roadblock, and the police are jumping all over the place, and one went up over the car. And
so what do you think when you're driving this car? I mean, first of all, I got to ask, what made you steal the car, and how did you steal the car? Was this?
They just left the keys in it. Okay. I just hopped in, took it. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what made you have this desire? You're not with anybody. No one was daring you.
Yeah, I was by myself.
That is like fascinating to me.
Yeah.
Because I'm a fearful guy. I'm afraid of everything. My biggest fear was always getting in trouble. I would get fucked up enough that would go away.
Well, I had this like the anger you were talking about, I had that too when I was young. Like my grandmother passed away when I was about 11, 12 years old, and she raised me for the most part. It wasn't like my parents weren't there. My mother just worked 2 or 3 jobs. Right. Same thing with my father. So I would stay with my grandmother, and she passed away from diabetes, and I feel like I just wasn't born with whatever, I wasn't born able to process and cope like everybody else. I feel like some people just got it. It's not like my parents are bad parents. My father is a recovering alcoholic, also had his issues, but I couldn't. So I acted out.
Right. Yeah, understandable.
Yeah.
So you steal a car, and then what are you thinking when you start cranking up the speed? Are you like freaking out? Are you having anxiety? Are you like thinking about how this is going to end? What's going through your head?
I don't want to say I felt cool.
But it is cool.
Yeah, but I felt like a badass. That's how I felt, And I was so used to seeing a lot of kids my age or even a little older get sent away. So I was thinking maybe this is my route. Like when I go to juvie now, I'll have this stripe.
Right.
Also, you know what I mean? So the cops, they get in the car, they Slim Jim the door open, right?
And they have guns drawn here, or they just think this is a kid?
So when the first cop opened up the door, he put his hand on his hip, and I jumped back into the passenger seat. I kicked my leg out, and I hit him in the face.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and then I tried to get out and over him, and then they just converged on me, and they beat me out of my sneakers. I used to hear the older guys talk about that, I uppercutted him out of his shoes, and I'd be like, oh, shut the fuck up. And these guys, they beat me so bad, my sneakers untied themselves and flew off my feet.
Wow. Now, can I just veer off for a second?
Yeah,
Now,
go
how do
ahead.
you feel about the police now? Are you a guy that's case to case? Do you hate the police?
No,
or
I
are you
don't
at a
hate the
place
police.
now that you're like, God, we need police and they should beat these young kids that are taking things?
I mean, I don't think they should be shooting people all willy-nilly.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, I feel like it goes with any talk of police. It goes without saying that, like,
Yeah.
Derek Chauvin murdered a guy. Fuck
Right,
this
right.
guy. I'm not talking, but like in general, when you see cops, are you like, you fucking motherfuckers, or are you like,
No.
geez, what an asshole I was.
Especially, yeah, I feel like that about myself. I mean, the NYPD, they're as big a part of this city as, Yankee Stadium.
Right,
pizza,
right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And people have bad days of work. I don't want to like minimize anything that's happened.
Yeah.
But no, I'm not like completely against the police. So
Okay.
They probably just need better training.
Yeah, we don't. I mean, we don't need to go into deep police
Yeah.
discussion. I'm always just fascinated because some people are just forever have that thing of like these motherfuckers, and you're like, well, you stole a car.
I did feel like that for a long time.
Right.
I did. I was
Right.
like, fuck all these cocksuckers.
Yeah.
But then I have family who are like cops and corrections officers, and so they beat me up bad, right? They beat me up bad, and then I remember what I said to one of the cops, and I told him, I go, I'm only 13 years old now. I go, wait till I'm 20 or 30 or 40.
Wow.
That's what I
Right. Well, just again to veer the police for a second. This is what they're dealing with all day, is these fucking idiots.
I'm threatening him
Right.
after, I'm telling him, wait till I'm an adult, I'm going to come back, and, who knows.
Right.
They hold me there, and they're like, what's your parents' phone number? They call my parents, say, wait for my mom to get there, and then let my mom beat the shit out of me.
Fun.
Yeah, and then I went. So the next day I'm in court, and my father comes to court, and I'm like, hey, Pop, wherever I go, just will you bring clothes? And he's like, son, you're not going to need clothes where you're going. They're going to have jumpsuits for you.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So now it's your dad. You say he was in recovery. Was he in trouble too when he was a
Yeah,
kid?
my pop got in some trouble.
So he had like a sense of this. And do you think maybe, I mean, I don't want to be a therapist here, but you think that you were like, because your parents were working so much, maybe you were lacking some sort of attention and affection, thought like this will get their attention.
Yeah. My grandmother's Puerto Rican, so it's like a different kind of culture. She drank too. She
Right.
died because she drank.
Right.
But it was all music and soap operas.
Sure.
But I love spending time with her though. And then, I just remember my father would get up at 4 o'clock every morning. He'd go do his construction work. He had another job in the evening. I see my mother in her waitress outfit, and then she had like a job in a warehouse. So
Right.
I learned like work ethic from my parents and like some good qualities, but you might be right. You might be possibly right. I've had therapists say that to me before.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I think. I wasn't getting the attention I wanted, so I was like, watch that, which I still is my comedy career.
Right,
I'm
right.
still like, watch this, I'll make a fucking movie.
Yeah.
And then they're like this, okay, great. You're like, all right, well, I guess that's not, I gotta let go of that. But that's a whole other bag of hammers. Hello, folks. This episode of Mindful Metal Jacket is brought to you by Sheath Underwear. I can tell you right now, I am wearing Sheath Underwear. I don't even need to look. Booyah! Look at that. Sheath underwear is all I wear. By the way, I saw some new company trying to take Robert Patton's idea. Get the hell out of here. Buy the original. Sheath underwear is the best. My friend, my pal, Robert Patton invented it, created it. He runs the company. He's a big comedy fan, comedy nerd. I'm going to see him in a few weeks at Skankfest. He always gives me free underwear. This underwear is awesome. There's a separate pouch for your balls, keeps your dick and balls separated. They're so comfy. They're so silky. They're so reliable. And I don't even need to read the copy. That's how much I love this product. He invented them. He was an Iraq war veteran. His dick and balls kept sticking together while he was serving this great country that I love so well. He's a great guy, and you're going to love him. So please check it out. Sheath was created, but I'm just going to say the same shit I just said because I know this man. If you're trying to make it through the summer wearing regular old boxers, it's no wonder your dong and balls are a big sweaty mess. What you need is Sheath underwear with one pocket for your dick and a separate pocket for your balls. Everything stays breezy and cool. By the way, for the ladies out there, check out Sheath's Airflow Bikini Briefs. My wife has a pair of these. They give me boners. Made with polyamorous, what's this word? Polyamide? I don't know. He knows. That's all that matters. It's a mesh blend. They'll keep you covered while letting everything else breathe. Go to sheathunderwear.com and use code METAL, 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 to get 20% off your first order. Plus, Sheath Underwear's 100% money-back guarantee. That's sheathunderwear.com, promo code METAL. Get Sheath Underwear, support the show, support your balls. Go do it. Thanks for listening. Make sure you buy some Sheath. Back to the show.
My father is funny when he talks to me because I had a small part in a movie, and my mom's like, "We're gonna watch your movie tonight," and I was like, "Oh, cool." I remember going downstairs, and my father was just like looking down, not even at the fucking screen. But he's funny even with jokes. He's like, "I don't get that joke. Like, I don't understand." And he said the word context to me one day. And I was like, "You fucking drove a bus while I was growing up, man. Fuck you." You know what I mean?
So your parents are still around?
Yeah, they're still together. They moved to South Carolina.
Oh, wow. So they must feel proud of you now. You're rehabilitated. You're out. You're doing comedy.
Yeah. I mean, I'm the only one that got left. My brother passed away a year and a half ago. So,
oh, damn.
Yeah.
And did he get in trouble too?
Yes.
Wow.
My poor parents, man.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay, so you go away, you're 13, you steal a car, you go away, and then what is the first experience like when they lock you in jail?
This is horrible. This is horrible. I'll never forget this ever. It still like brings like a chill down my spine. So I get there, they bring me to the juvenile detention facility, and this woman comes out and she's like holding a file or whatever, like a folder, and she's like, uncuff him. So at first I'm like, oh, she's like an angel. She's like, this lady is here to help me. And then they bring me in past the doors, and, there's the airlocks and all that stuff. And then we're just walking down this hallway, and then she turns and looks at me, and she's like, you know how to take care of yourself, right? And in my head, I'm like, I shouldn't. I'm 13. You know what I mean? And I go, I'm just a kid, lady. And she goes, the boys here know how to take care of themselves very well. You'll find out soon.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, and she was right. That was gladiator school.
So these are I assume everyone's under 18.
Yes.
But you're 13 and they're 17 or...
No, I think the oldest they had in that facility at the time was probably around 16, 15.
Right.
Yeah.
But there's a big difference between
some of them 16-year-olds had fucking full-grown beards.
Yeah, of course. That's fine. I just went to my nephew's freshman basketball game last week, and like it almost is like they put them in order of puberty. Like the first two kids come out and they're like 4'4", clean shit. They look like they're 9.
Yeah,
and then the last kid comes out and he's got a full beard and he's like 6'3". And I'm like, Jesus fuck.
See that 12-year-old running back down south, Jeremiah Johnson?
No,
he's got a fucking mustache.
That's insane.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So did they fucking just tune you up right away, or what's going on?
Yeah, you got to fight. It's horrible, horrible life. I don't wish that on anybody.
That's my biggest fear. I mean, so jail in general is my biggest fear. Getting jumped, getting attacked, forcing to fight, gang beatings. These are all my biggest fears. Because, I grew up in a town that's like, maybe it's tougher than most towns. I didn't think of it as I just thought of it as a town.
Right.
But looking back, there was fights all the time. Middle school, elementary school, everybody fought at some point.
Right.
And every once in a while, someone would get jumped and 2 kids would, but this is like 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds in school.
Yeah.
And I lived in fear that someone was going to jump out and just beat me up.
Yep.
It never happened,
know
but
all too well.
Yeah.
About it. You're like fucking walking down the street, you see a group of kids, you're like, oh, maybe they're going to, click my fucking ticket today, or
well, I think this all. I actually think this all the time too. I'm like, I actually think Reginald Denny fucked me up. I was 10, and it was a guy. And obviously, I'm spacing on his name now. Who's the guy that the black guy that got arrested and beat the shit?
Oh, Rodney King.
Rodney King.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously,
Reginald Denny, the fucking truck driver.
So, Rodney King was horrible, but for and maybe this is not PC, but for a 10-year-old white kid in the suburbs, I didn't identify with Rodney King.
Right,
he had stolen a car and he was speeding, and the cops beat the shit out of it, and it seemed horrible.
Yeah.
But I was like, well, that's not going to happen to me.
Yeah.
Reginald Denny was a guy driving a truck through a neighborhood. They just pulled him out and they throw a brick on him and they're spray painting him.
Yeah.
And I was 10. I mean, you think about it, it's like, I think this parents should protect kids from stuff like this.
From watching that stuff.
Yeah, I remember sitting there watching this guy and being like, what did he do? And they're like, well, he just was driving through this neighborhood.
He did nothing.
And they were spray painting his dick and threw a brick, and he was just laying there helpless.
They fucked him up good.
And I think it was like the most traumatic thing as a kid. It made me really afraid that like someone was going to open my car door and beat the fuck out of me. I don't know, but context any of that has.
No,
but it put that fear into me that I imagine you live with after getting the shit kicked out of you in juvie.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple things that would, after getting in a fight, you'd never want it to happen again. But the thing, and I wasn't like I was like some great fighter. I got my ass kicked a lot. You just hope that there's someone around to pull one of you off of the other one. You know what I mean? Because it can get. People can get hurt and shit.
Yeah, which by hurt you mean like hurt bad. Clearly they're getting hurt. Just getting punched is hurt.
But you mean jaw broke, nose broke, fucking cheekbones get fractured, and all kinds of shit like that.
Did you
now with this MMA shit nowadays, you might get knocked down. And the guy might fucking wrap you up in anaconda vice.
I talk about this all the time. I mean, maybe we talked about it once. It's like you'll see comics just like, yeah, your wife's a cunt, fuck you, and I'm like, do you know what you're doing?
From the stage.
Yes, from the stage. I'm like, there's nobody here. I hope you know how to fight. But I think that all the time. Like, I mean, I did MMA for a little bit, and I'm not tough or anything, but I'm like, I assume I didn't do it enough to gain any level of whatever.
But you could protect yourself.
Yeah, and I think people would look at me as like a skinny nerd, but I'm like, I am aware of how to choke somebody out or break their arm off.
Yeah, I'll break your fingers off too.
So you got to be careful. Okay, so going back, now I assume you're one of these guys that now you're in the system and it just starts reoccurring.
You're correct. Yeah, so basically that whole... From the time I was 13 to 18, I did 3 of those years in juvie.
Okay.
Yeah, and then I turned 18, and they actually let me in the Army.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
I got kicked out after 11 months.
Oh, Jesus. Now, how did that happen? Can we talk about it, or is it classified?
I mean, I guess I could talk about it. I ended up getting like jumped by a bunch of students, Korean students.
In Korea?
In Korea, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, I walked like dead into the middle of a protest.
Okay.
And they fucked me up good. And then I started to drink and take pills and shit like that.
Right. Yeah. Damn. And so maybe we're jumping ahead. When did you first try heroin? I mean, I assume you were...
I was about 29.
Okay.
I'd been messing with opiates for years before that.
So quite a while is passing before. And what's going on between 18 and 29? Are you in and out of jail now?
Yeah.
And what is your main thing you're doing? Are you boosting cars? I wanted to throw that term out there from the 50s.
Stealing like minor, doing like low-level robberies and shit like that, selling drugs.
Right.
I had about over 30 arrests there.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when you're getting arrested, are you just like, here we go again? Or are you like, fuck?
No, here we go again. Fuck when I started doing heroin because it's like, I'm going to get sick.
Right.
Jail is the worst place to be sick.
Did you ever have that happen where you're...
Dope sick? Absolutely.
God, and you're in jail and they don't give a fuck?
No. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. Unless you have already like a prescription for methadone or Suboxone, you ain't getting it.
Right.
You're going to fucking...
So I'm fascinated by jail. So when do you first go to jail over 18? Just regular men jail? And are you starting to know people
when I was
there?
18, I got caught up like with some trespassing and vandalism stuff, and that's when I was like, I'll go in the Army.
Right.
And they were like, all right, and that's when I went in. But I ended up going to jail in the Army too.
Oh, jeez, the brig.
I started like stealing shit.
God damn.
I was stripping like metal.
And so what do you think it is? It's you're not hitting a bottom, or you're just, this is what you know, so you just keep doing it.
Well, the military is an institution also.
Right. Fucking
barracks, or like, some jails have dorms. It's very similar feel.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I was good in basic training. I was like the fucking man. Like, I was like, oh, maybe I'm like going to be this squared away soldier. And once I got like a little bit of freedom, when I went to my regular unit, I was I was like, oh, I only have to do this between fucking 7 and 3.
Right.
Dope.
Now, how? I mean, I'm like,
you know what it was? A lot of the fucking people who outranked me, I'd see them off base, and they would try to play that fucking rank shit with me. And in my head, I'm like, I'm a stronger human than you.
right.
So now, you're the sergeant, but if I beat you, now I'm the sergeant. But that's not how it works.
Now, do you have that in comedy at all? Because I always wondered this, because I go to MMA, and my MMA instructor is a comedian, and so it's a fascinating.
Who was it, Sergio Chacon?
No, Diego Lopez. Do you know Diego?
I know who he is.
He's great,
Yeah.
but it's always interesting to me because, as a comedian, I've been around a lot. He's much newer, and I'm much more successful. So it's like, which is another fascinating conversation. Sam Harris talks about this. Like, you are all these different selves.
Right.
Like, you go into a store, and it's like you feel different. Now I'm a customer. You like feel this feeling of I'm a customer in a store.
Yeah.
Or I'm in one place, you're like you talk about like a low-ranking military guy, but then you're like, when we're out in the street, it's like I could just beat the fuck out of you. I've been to jail. I know what are you talking about.
Yeah.
So it's like fascinating to me because we're in the MMA gym and he's a jiu-jitsu black belt who could do literally anything he wants to me physically.
Yeah, he can contort you.
Yeah,
if he wants.
And then we're in comedy, and I'm like the headliner. I'm like this veteran. Yeah. Do you ever feel that way in comedy where like someone will talk to you in a way that you're like, how about I put your head through a fucking window?
Yeah. It happens.
It's weird because you go into this world and you're like, okay, so I mean, you've been around a little bit now, but it's like when you're first getting into comedy, you're just like a low-level open mic guy.
Yeah,
and you must be like, are you fucking kidding me?
I'm on the wall with that still now. You know what I mean? Like I'm just starting to work clubs.
Right.
You know, this past year. Yeah, it was so once. Because I did all this work on myself so like I wouldn't be feeling like that, right? And then I'm a couple years into comedy, and I was talking to you about those emotional relapses. I'm like, I should probably not do this because of things like that. Because you know how it is. It's one thing getting like, getting roasted and all that stuff. But you're right. Some people comedy is hard enough as it is.
Yes.
To have somebody like being a jerk off to you, like especially like right before you're about to go up on stage.
I talk about this all the time. I'm like, it makes me crazy when comedians will be tweeting about a comedian gets into some controversy and other comedians are like, well, he shouldn't have this, whatever. Or there's like, Louis had a leaked set and people are like, well, he said this crazy thing. And I'm like, comedians should be taking care of each other.
Yeah.
Obviously, like, illegal stuff removed. I'm not saying like comedians that are committing sexual assault should be like, hey, he's a comedian.
Yeah.
But like, this like people being shitty to comics or like fucking with comics, and I'm not talking ball busting, but like being a fucking asshole, ripping them off. I'm like, what? We're all getting fucked already. We should all be taking care of each other here.
Absolutely.
But anyway, so yeah, you've had that.
Yeah, I've had that feeling come up in me quite a bit, and Sergio's one of my best friends. He's been doing comedy like 15 years too. So like I vent to him about that stuff. Yeah. I say it to my therapist, and she's like, "This seems like a toxic thing."
Right. You got to go to Alan. You know about Alan? He's the comedian's therapist.
No.
Alan Lefkowitz. Oh, he's everyone's there. I mean, so many comics. Rachel Feinstein, Sam Burrell, Stavros, myself, Normand, Bobby Kelly.
So he specializes in comics. That's pretty dope.
He sees a lot of different people, but he was Richard Lewis's therapist back in like '79. It started with Richard Lewis. So he just knows, so he knows all the shorthand. Like he knows who Esty is and Patrick Milligan is or whatever.
Wow.
And like you could be like, yeah, I did a set. Like you don't have to explain comedy to him.
He knows.
He's amazing.
Yeah.
But anyways.
Yeah, I've had to come up. And luckily, I haven't done anything. I don't ever want to do any, like grab somebody or be like, just so you know, I could fucking smash you. I would never want to do that.
Right.
And also, I'm older now. I might say that to somebody, and I might get smashed. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then, but then that shit will follow you around.
Right.
And I've like, I don't want that to be what I'm known for.
Of course.
You know what I mean? Because I know there's some older comics who are very funny, and people have said like, that person fucked themselves over because they smacked people around and shit.
Of course.
What am I going to look like grabbing like a nerd too? Like, you know what I mean?
Right. But I just mean that like that feeling you have that you're like, fuck all these people. This is insane.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm the realist.
Yeah.
I'm the. But how unhealthy is it to think like that though?
Yeah, of course. I mean that's what so so many issues are all about ego, basically. I mean, with any kind of career.
Right. Yeah, it's not just comedy. That's people like that all through so many different industries. You know, there's I guess I hate talking like this, but there's toxicity and like unhealthy behavior everywhere.
Yeah, of course.
Comedy.
No, Colin Quinn, who's like my spiritual guide in life, he's always talking about that. He's like, we get caught up thinking like comedy and showbiz. And it's kind of embarrassing people talk like that because you're like, every job is like this. Like if you're a plumber, people are like, that guy gets to fix the toilet at fucking the Empire State Building?
Yeah.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah.
That guy doesn't know how to clean shit or whatever. You know what I mean? Like you have that no matter where you're working.
Yeah.
You're like, he got the promotion. That's crazy.
What a good fucking comparison.
Yeah.
That's great.
Well, Colin's the greatest.
Yeah.
But okay, so let's go back. So you're in and out of jail. And when you leave a stint in jail, are you like, okay, here we go.
Like I'm going to do
Straight
good?
and narrow,
No.
yeah.
Not at all. Not at all.
So you're
It's like,
even
see
when
you next time, boys.
Yeah.
Like that.
Okay. Wow, that's so fascinating. I mean, that's like
By the time my last one, because I had a little bit of a clean time under my belt the last time I went, and that time I was like, yeah, no more.
right.
This is it. I can't stomach it. Yeah.
So that's like, and now how long has it been going on? Like, how old are you when you're like, I gotta get sober? And when do narcotics, drink, or whatever it is, start to become like this is why I'm doing this?
Yeah, I mean, the narcotic use, the drug use was basically just a, it's a symptom of my mental health issues,
course,
my
yeah.
untreated mental health issues. So they really started to become an issue late 20s, going
Right.
into 30.
And so, I mean, assume you start drinking and then you start smoking weed. Is that the progression?
Always
in that?
hated weed.
Yeah, I was never a big weed guy
Yeah,
either.
it used to make me freak out.
Yeah, I was kind of like that too. I thought everyone I think everyone hates me anyways, and that would like crank it up. I'd be like, oh my God.
I'd be so paranoid on that shit. I used to think I was going to swallow my tongue too. It
Oh,
really
geez.
freaked me out.
Yeah.
Bad. Yeah. I never, not just, so drinking, then, the party drugs, the ecstasy and the acid. Never liked psychedelics either because I thought too much.
Right.
Like, I remember I was like 14 tripping and I was like, oh my God, like I got to get a license one day. How am I going to live in a house? I don't want to live in an apartment. Who the fuck, 14-year-olds shouldn't be thinking about shit like that.
Right. So it sounds like you're built to have like anxiety.
Yeah,
You're an anxious
100%.
guy. Yeah.
Very.
Okay, so then you start doing party drugs, and when did you ever smoke crack? Or
Yes.
I assume you did coke.
I did smoke crack.
Nice.
I wanted to see what all the fuss was about.
Right. And so, wait, how old are you? You're a little older
41.
than me, I think. Okay, so we're
Yeah.
about the same. I'm 40. So you missed like the crack explosion, I assume.
No, I saw like the tail end of it. I would say it was still pretty bad
Right.
in the 90s and 2000s.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I was born in 81.
Right.
Yeah, so I was there for it.
I
I saw a lot of crime that had to do with it.
Right.
Yeah.
So what did you think of crack?
When I did crack, I mean, until it became an issue, it was pretty good.
Right.
Yeah. Did you ever smoke crack?
No, I never did hard drugs like that. I always like I was.
So I was
smoked-
selling crack for a guy. I was selling. Did I cut you off?
No, I was gonna say I'm like I did like painkillers and Xanax and stuff like that, but booze was certainly my main thing. I never did coke because something up the nose was insane. Also coke. I never heard anyone talk highly of coke. To me,
No, you
coke
do that
was
line,
like,
you
yeah,
have like
coke,
a
yeah.
minute good conversation, and then you want more.
Yeah, like coke to me, no one ever in my circle was like, you gotta try. Coke is awesome. People were always like, oh, coke, it makes you fucking crazy, whatever.
Yeah.
So anyways.
So I had done coke quite a bit too, and then I saw I'm like selling crack for this guy, and I was making like not bad money either. It was pretty damn good money. And,
Yeah, I bet.
And I remember this guy owed me money, and I had a car, and I fucking pick him up. I'm like, and he wanted to buy more crack, and I was like, oh, but you still owe me money. And I remember he was holding his pipe in his hand.
Crack pipe.
Yeah, and he didn't have the money that he owed me, so I was like, get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean? And he ran out of the car, but he dropped his crack pipe on my seat.
It's like an after school special.
And I have all this crack, and I was like, let me try
Sure.
some crack. And I remember I pulled my car over, and I smoked crack, and I was just like, I went like down in the seat. I was like, whoa. And then I went to a hotel, and I smoked all that crack.
Wow.
And then I smoked crack for a couple months.
Wow. But you got off of it somehow. That's good.
It was so crazy. I can't believe I did that, man.
And then, so when does heroin come? Does it start with pill, like the classic?
Yeah,
fucking,
pills. So everybody's doing Percocets and Vicodin.
Yeah, that's what
right?
I enjoyed.
Percocets, Vicodin, and then it started going into the Roxasets, and then the Opanas and the OxyContin.
Right.
You know, those are, you know, it's like more Percocet, less Tylenol. I'm not sure. Because it's funny to me, OxyContin made me feel different than Opana. Opana made me feel different than Roxasets.
Right.
You know what I mean?
And what is it? This is like late 90s now?
No, this is like, see, I got clean in August 28, 2014. So we're like 2008, 9, 10-ish.
Okay, so you're like right in the heart of this
my child was born in
thing.
2010, so I was still getting high then.
Damn, okay. So, and then when is the first time that someone's like, well, why don't you try heroin? Or you're like, I can't afford this, let me do heroin. How does that work?
All right, so this is sad. This is very sad.
Oh, jeez.
So me and my brother, we were living above this restaurant, and my brother also, you know, had fell into drugs. I used to blame myself a lot for that because I didn't get to see him that much when I was younger because I was always away and
Yeah, he's
in trouble.
younger.
He was younger, yeah.
Okay.
He was like 4 years younger. So I'm all out of pills and I'm sick.
Mhm.
I'm upstairs he lived on the second floor, I lived on the third floor, and he came up. He's like, hey, I hate to see you like this, brother. Like, you know, I don't have pills, but I have something for you. So if you don't want to feel sick anymore.
Right.
And I was like, what is it, heroin? And he just didn't say anything. I was like, oh. I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I don't want to be sick anymore.
Sure, yeah.
I was gonna do something else anyway, you know. And within a couple of weeks, I was shooting it.
God. And so do you snort it the first time?
I snorted it the first time, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
And what is, I mean, is it just an immediate high?
Yeah.
Now, I read an interview, or I saw an interview. John Travolta was on Inside the Actors Studio. He was talking about when he was getting ready to play Vincent Vega for Pulp Fiction.
Right.
And he talked to a heroin addict. And the heroin addict said, I'm interested if this is accurate to you. The heroin addict said, there's no way to understand what heroin feels like unless you do it.
Right.
He said, but the closest I can tell you to get is to get drunk on tequila and float in like a warm pool. And John Travolta said, okay, I can do that. And so that's what he did to get ready for the role of being
Yeah,
high on
I
heroin.
remember
Does
the
that
scene.
sound anything like that? I mean, do you think of like, I'm in a warm pool of water and I'm drunk?
So there's a difference. For me, there was a difference between when I sniffed it and when I mainlined it.
Okay.
Yeah, the mainline, just there was like the whole ritual to it was this. It's also something like I hate to say it like this, but I enjoyed it.
Right.
You know, you would, you know, as soon as you hit your vein, you taste. You know, it's so weird that you're shooting something into your arm, but now all of a sudden you have a taste in your mouth from it hitting
Right.
your bloodstream. And yeah, no, I felt very warm.
I got such needle. It fucks me up. Just hearing about
I
needles.
can't believe that I
disgusting.
was able to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I don't even wear contacts because I don't like sticking shit. In my
Yeah, I'm the same
eyeballs.
exact
Yeah.
way. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so then now, are you?
Me and my brother, I started doing heroin with my brother, and we go on a robbing spree and just start robbing drug dealers.
Wow.
I'm gonna write a book about it one day.
Wow.
It was fun.
And so how does that work? You set up a drug deal and then you just
Yeah,
fucking
we go out.
jack
You know,
the guy up?
there's a lot of young kids out there that are selling drugs. You know, 16, 17, 18, 19. Rough them up, take whatever we can, or get them to come to the car. I remember one time my brother grabbed this guy, and he's like, and I just pull off. I'm like, "Arr!" And the guy's like, I'm telling my brother, I'm like, yo, get his jacket. And my brother's pulls his jacket off, and the guy falls on the street, and there was like, you know, bunch of bundles of dope in there.
Wow.
His jacket, yeah.
And what neighborhood is it? Is this out in Brooklyn or is this in
Yeah,
the
we
city?
were upstate too. In the city of Newburgh and Jersey, Patterson. There was a lot of heroin there.
Wow.
You got to go where the heroin is.
God. This is like, you're right in it. This is like my biggest fears, these circles. So now you're just, how long are you doing heroin for?
I did it for 3 years, and
Right.
I got locked up a lot during that time. All mostly petty stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, are you robbing stores at all? Or
Yeah, I
just-
would rob stores. One of the best things to do for me was like was rip ornamental metal off of people's houses and shit.
Oh,
and
wow.
turn the copper in.
Wow.
Yeah.
Fun.
Bergen County, New Jersey. There's a lot of rich people that have way too much ornamental metal. I feels like a dirtbag saying this now because I was stealing from people. You know what I mean?
No, of course, but you got a fucking disease.
Yeah. You know, if it was the 2000s and you like your copper chimney king went missing, it was me. So.
Yeah, so there you go. That's your amends, folks.
Yeah.
Okay, so I want to get, by the way, I have no idea what time it is. How long have we been going on here? Oh, okay, great. I want to get to some recovery here.
Right.
So you're shooting heroin, you're fucking stealing shit, you're in and out of...
I'm in and out of jail. I'm in and out of detoxes, rehabs, all that shit.
Right.
I'm violating parole, violating probation.
Now, did you meet Gio, your buddy who's a comic?
No, I met Gio 2 years ago, right around this
after comedy.
time. Yeah.
So you didn't know him in jail and everything. Do you guys say the clink? Do you use the term the clink?
Yeah, you could say the clink, the
I
bang,
love the clink.
the joint.
Yeah. I always say the clink.
Big house.
That's Michigan Stadium to me, the big house. But okay, so you're in and out. You're going into jail. You're fucking. I assume they're sending you to detox at some point.
Detox, yeah. So I overdosed a few times.
Right, you mentioned that the other day. So
Yeah.
tell that story. You're fucking dead on the floor.
Yeah, my last overdose. My brother was with me. We're in a shooting gallery. You know what a shooting gallery is?
No.
So a shooting gallery is a crack house for dope fiends because we're shooting.
And is this through the state? Because they're doing that now. This is before all that. This isn't like a government setup.
You have to have me on again to talk about that.
Okay.
It drives me nuts.
Okay, but this is just like somebody's place.
Real quick, is that like people are like, oh, it's a safe place to do heroin. I'm like, but heroin will be there, right?
Right.
So, it's like, how safe could it be? But so yeah, we're in like usually a shooting gallery will be like an abandoned building, a bando. You know, nobody's living there.
Right,
People are squatting there, if anything.
Okay.
Shoot up, overdose. I'm dying, right? This is just from what my brother told me. My brother went to call 911, and the other drug addicts who were there, like, took his phone from him. We're like, no, don't bring the cops here.
Right.
And then he basically had to drag me out to the car and fly over to the hospital. And he said while we were driving over there, he said he smelled shit, which meant that, I had defecated on myself.
Right.
And he heard me take my last breath. So I guess he brings me in there. I just remember waking up after they hit me with the Narcan. They had to hit me twice, too.
Right.
So I just, deep breath, pop up, start vomiting. Like, as soon as I get up, they turn me to my side. And I'm just like, I'm cold. And they put a blanket on me, and I hear my brother yelling, like, even soon, he was like, please save my brother. Please save my brother.
Jesus.
I'm like, brother, I'm alive. That's how we used to talk to each other.
Right.
Sounds so gay.
No.
Brother. But he goes, my brother was like, do you want me to call mom? And I was like, no. He's like, do you want me to call Adrian? Which was the mother of my child. And I was like, no, I don't want anybody to see me like this. And they get me stable. And the doctor came to see me, and he was like, like, we're going to get you to a place. We're going to get you into treatment. We're going to get you the help you need. And I was like, Doc, I'm not going to treatment.
Right.
He's like, I'm going to sign myself out. And he was like, a lot of people, when they come back from an overdose, they're very mean and can't understand why you saved them.
Right.
And he goes, and you were telling your brother not to let your family come because you didn't want them to be bothered to see you like this. He's like, that's not normal. He's like, you're a pretty good guy. I think you should get your shit straight.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Then the nurse came to me, and she goes, hey, hon, I just want to let you know you're the only one that we've saved this week so far.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting.
And I was like, so? No, I'm joking.
And this is the last time. And this is
the last time I overdose, not the last time I get high, but the last time I overdose. And I did not use with the same ferociousness, I would say, after that.
Okay, it's interesting because my uncle's a firefighter in Mass, and so he's on the other side of this.
Yeah,
he's the guy.
He probably sees people overdosing all the time.
Yeah. That's
now
like
the Narcan is a spray.
Right.
They put it up the nose.
It's weird because that's like the main job of firemen now because of fire prevention. There's so many less house fires, and then he was a fireman throughout the 2000s. He started at the fire department at the same time I started comedy. So through the whole crisis. Anyways, I don't know how significant that is, but I know. I hear his stories from that side of the things of just like, Narcan, just being like, okay.
They probably have. He probably keeps a bunch of them on him, I would imagine.
Yeah.
Even I worked in a shelter for a little bit after I got clean, and I had to bring a lot of people back with Narcan.
So what is your how does the bottom work, and how do you go, okay, that was that?
I just I lost everything.
Right.
Like everything for real.
Right.
I mean, I had lost everything before, but this was like where I just remember just sitting on a park bench, like with nowhere to go, nothing to do.
Wow.
With only the clothes I had on me. Nobody that loved me or my family really wanted anything to do with me.
And this isn't even that long ago. This is like 8 years ago, something like that?
Yeah, I was 33. Yeah, I can't believe, Sham. Saying it like that, yeah, you're right. It really isn't that long ago. Shit.
No, it's wild. I mean, it's time is weird, especially as you get older. It's like it's a long time and it feels like a short time. So where do you walk? You're sitting there. You go, I got no money. My family's whatever. Do you walk in somewhere?
I ended up going to jail for a little bit again, and then they put me. The judge was like, "Hey, you're a fucking drug addict. You're fucking. I don't know how much of a criminal you are anymore. You're gonna do crime to get drugs, but you need treatment."
Right.
And they sent me to a halfway house, and I was good for a couple weeks, and then I fucking relapsed. It was just a struggle, man. You know what I mean? It was super emotional. And then I remember this counselor I had at this Center for Recovery. She was like, "You're gonna die. You're gonna die if you continue to do this. Let me get you in this place. Like, they have a pretty good success rate." She was like, "This isn't 28 days. This is a TC, therapeutic community.
Okay,
they're gonna help you, get all this nonsense you got covering you up and bring the real Derek out of you." And I remember I went their intake spot was in Queens on the Van Wyck Expressway, and I was supposed to have Suboxone with me.
Okay.
Which is, what Suboxone is, right?
Some kind of...
It's like methadone, but different.
Right, okay.
Yeah, so I get there, and they drug test me, and I'm like, positive for morphine, because that's what heroin turns into once it hits your bloodstream.
Okay.
Not positive for Suboxone. They're like, "Where the fuck is your Suboxone?" I'm like, "I sold it for heroin." And they just started laughing at me. And I was like, "I'm supposed to be honest, right?" And they're like, "Yeah, well, we can't take you into treatment like this. We have to detox you."
Right.
So... we're going to send you to, I believe it was St. John's in Yonkers Behavioral Health Hospital.
Okay.
So I get there. I mean, I don't know anything about Yonkers except for that DMX is from there. And I get there, and they're like, "No beds." And I'm like, "Fuck, I'm in Yonkers. What do I do?" They're like, "Go to this place called the Sharon Community, I believe." There's like a shelter there also, like a place to stay for the night. They told me to come back in the morning. And I remember... My daughter's mother worked in Valhalla in Westchester. She was a nurse.
Okay.
And, Yonkers is Westchester also. So I was like, "Hey, I'm in Yonkers. You think you could just give me the keys to your car, and I'll stay in there for the night?" And she was like, "Absolutely not." She was right. I'm going to be honest with you, dude. I probably would have stole her car.
Yeah.
And brought it to Queens to a chop shop.
Right.
Got like $1,000 for it. So... shout out to her for not enabling me.
Yeah.
So I go to the Sharon Community, right? And they're like, we're full here, but there's these vans that come that will take you to different places throughout Yonkers that have beds for you to sleep in for the evening. So they give me this ticket, right? And I had this ticket for so long, and I lost it. I wish I still had it. Because I would do a one-man show called The Red Ticket or some shit, whatever. It's a ticket from Staples. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like a raffle ticket.
Yeah.
And they're like, "Go to Chicken Island and wait for the red van." You know what I mean? And I was like, what the fuck is Chicken Island? And she's like, "I'll just go with the migration of people." So everybody starts leaving, and I walk with this group to this closed-down chicken restaurant called Chicken Island in Yonkers, and these vans start pulling up. Like a white van comes, a green van comes, and I guess that's the color coordinated ticket.
Right.
And then the red van comes, and I get to it, and they're like, "No more room." Shut the door.
Jesus.
So it's just like me and this other guy who's whacked out of his mind on K2.
This almost feels like the Holocaust.
This is rough.
Like it feels like, seriously, like it feels like, oh yeah, no, this train's full. You're going to that fucking place.
Yep. So this guy he's not even speaking English. He's so high on what K2 is? It's like this chemical weed. It's bad.
Okay.
This guy's out of his mind.
Right.
And I don't even know how to get back to where I was. And I just start following him, and it just starts to pour. And I'm like starting to get like sick now.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? And I just remember I picked up this piece of cardboard out of the garbage, and I like put it over my head, and I'm following him. He was going back to the shelter, and I walk back into the shelter, and this lady's there, and I'm like, I couldn't get on the bus. And she's like looking at me, and she's like, "What? Like, do you have a plan?" I'm like, I'm checking myself into detox tomorrow at St. John's in the morning. And she's like, "All right, you can sleep on the floor."
Wow.
And she gave me a blanket and a pillow.
Wow.
And then
this lady's a hero.
yeah, yeah. And I was doing sheet karate all night. I don't know if you know what that is. It's like involuntary motion because you're kicking heroin.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's insane.
so you don't really sleep.
Right.
Wake up in the morning from whatever hour I had, and I fucking go to the detox. They get me in, and they held me there for like about a week and a half, and they put me on methadone right when I got there and weaned me off in a couple days.
Wow.
Light dosage.
Right, right.
Yeah.
And how long do you stay there for?
There, I was about there for a week and a half, and then I went back to Queens to the intake. I was there for 2 days. That place was scary as fuck. That place was like Rikers, man. I walk up in there, like people getting their hair cut in the bathroom, smoking cigarettes, fucking shooting dice. I was like, yo, I'm gonna get stabbed in this motherfucker.
God.
Yeah, but everybody was cool.
And are you feeling now like this is it? This is my last fuck up, and
I know I need to change my life, but I'm not there yet. I'm not like, oh, this is it. Not yet. That happened later. Then I'm there for a couple days, and they send me to Samaritan Village on 43rd in between 8th and 9th. Shout out to them because that's where I really changed. And this is they don't even run places like this. A lot has changed in 8 years. This is like an 18 to 24 month TC, therapeutic community.
Right.
Like you're grouping 5 times a day. Like most of your day is spent grouping and eating. That's it. And
what's grouping is what? It's like a meeting?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm not talking AA or NA.
Yeah.
I'm talking like you're giving a testimony, and then your peers are like, nah, he's full of shit.
Wow.
Yeah. I remember being there getting there, and they're like, when you address the group, you say family. So I'd be like, oh, good morning, family. My name is Derek. I'm just so happy to be here. And someone from the back goes, shut up.
Are you like friendly with any of these people?
Not for a while.
No,
because then you're like scrubbing floors and fucking dusting steps. But that show, if you want to be clean, you'll go through that.
Right.
Because they're like, go ahead. They're like, jump. We'll send your ass right back to jail.
Right.
Like, we'll have somebody come here to come get you right now.
So is there not like a communal feel? Because I think of my experience of like AA, where everyone's like, welcome in. We're all here together. Let's fucking help you out.
They're like, you're a piece of shit. Nobody wants you anymore.
Right.
We're the only ones that want you.
Right.
And you're going to do it our way.
Right.
Until you learn how to become a decent human being.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
They have these things called confrontation groups where you don't even know. There's so many little rules and all this shit. It's like you could have walked in here with a coffee, and there could be a rule like, oh, no coffee on the carpet. You can't.
Right.
So then I would drop a slip on you. So this is how we would spend our Sunday evening. Instead of winding down, getting ready for the week, we all sit in a circle, and then there would be all these slips in a box, and then whoever was working the house would pull them out, and it'd be like, Derek Drescher calls Joe List to confrontation group.
Wow.
And then if you didn't drop a slip on me, I could just tell you how much of a piece of shit you were for walking around with a coffee in your hand.
Wow.
And you can't react.
Wow. And does it get physical? Is there ever a fight?
Yeah, there was a few fights.
Wow.
Yeah.
This is like fascinating to me. And this is all like a state-run place?
Yeah, so they were funded by Oasis, I believe it's called. I forget what. Oasis is like one of the like organizations that runs drug rehab facilities. So
Right.
yes, I believe it's state run. Yeah.
No, so how long is it before you get out of there and then
16 months.
wow.
Yeah.
And then when you leave, what do you have? A backpack with like a few things in it, or
I
what?
had 7 garbage bags, and I remember
That's a good
me
amount
and a
of
couple
stuff.
other guys go on the A train
Yeah.
and fucking, you know, these are big garbage bags. You know what I mean? And we're just going to my apartment. The couple of us, and we're fucking walking around with these trash bags, and then I lived like that for a little bit till I was able to like afford furniture.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then you get a job and everything, and you start reaching back out to family and stuff, and going, "Hey, I'm
Yeah, like I
quitting
had
now."
been doing the family stuff, you know, while I was there. Things didn't work out between my daughter's mother and I, so
Right.
I had to bite the bullet on that. It's my fault.
Sure.
Yeah,
Do you get to see your kid?
not really.
No.
Yeah,
That sucks.
yeah, it's my fault.
Right.
If I could have just kept my mouth shut.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
That's the way it goes. So now, when do you start to feel like back in society and feeling good and confident that you're not gonna fuck up again?
Oh, I've never felt that way.
I mean, you seem so well adjusted now.
I mean, so crime creeped up in my head early because I was poor.
Right.
I was so poor, and I was like, I should just rob a drug dealer.
Right.
I know they have all this money, you know, and luckily I got in with some guys who were all about reform. I work the gym I work at called Combody. They only hire formerly incarcerated
Oh wow.
people, individuals to train the classes. So I got with them. So I had like a good support group, and then I was poor as fuck, and I had child support
Right.
and all that stuff, and but I was running. Running so much,
Yeah.
running and concentrating on my training, and I wanted to break 4 hours, and
Yeah.
so I had like that. I had all these goals. I acted in that movie, and I got a better job at the Marriott. So like I realized, I was like, as long as I stay off of drugs and like don't and be nice to people as the best I can, and have no malice in my heart to want to hurt anybody, like my life will continue to get better.
Right.
Or, you know.
Which it has.
Yeah.
And
And I keep it very simple.
Yeah. Now, do you still try to go to meetings or therapy? Are you actively working on?
Yeah. I don't go to AA or NA anymore. I go to ACOA, because it's ACOA to me,
What's ACOA?
adult children of alcoholics.
Right.
It's more about the trauma
Right.
than the
Right,
actual
right.
drug use.
Right.
Yeah. And no disrespect to any other 12-step
Sure.
groups.
Yeah.
They just this one works better for me.
Right.
Yeah.
And when does comedy come into this? When are
about-
you like, hey, wait a minute?
36. Like I had done like stupid talent shows and mics when I was younger, but like when I was 36, I'd always thought about it, and like I had wrote some jokes, and I had friends tell me I was funny, and I was very funny when I was incarcerated also.
Right.
Yeah.
That's gonna be a powerful tool, I would imagine.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the funny guy. People like you. And then I had a couple friends who were comedians also. They're not doing it anywhere near as long as you, but I guess they're known. And even a few of them were like, "Hey, you should give it a shot. You know,
Right.
see how it goes." And then I did it so wrong my first 2 years. I did it horribly. Like I was doing like one mic a week.
Right. Yeah. I did
then-
the same thing.
and then
My
I would-
first year, I did like 50 sets.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm doing comedy.
Yeah.
And people were like, why don't I ever see you any place but this one place?
So I would do that, and I do like one bringer a month. Like I didn't know.
Right,
I wasn't
right.
like internet savvy yet, to where it was
Yeah,
like I
same.
knew I could go on this group and see all these mics.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then by the time I had my first show, the pandemic happened not too long after. And then I just really, during the pandemic, I did all the Zoom shit. And then once mics opened back up, I did all the mics. I started my own show, and I'm here now. This is where I'm at.
Right.
Yeah.
That's amazing. I mean, amazing story.
Yeah.
And do you try to? You mentioned earlier you did some counseling or whatever. Do you talk to?
Yeah, I'm a counselor. I'm like a peer mentor.
Yeah.
And also KSAC, certified alcohol substance abuse counselor.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that's like your day gig?
That's my full-time job.
Wow. Yeah, that's a great a job that is also service is a wonderful.
Yeah, like I don't like it's easy for me to look at myself in the mirror,
right?
You know, when I go to bed at night.
Yeah. Now, do you ever have like thoughts like you know you're at the stand, Dave Chappelle comes. Do you ever think, let me just fucking jack this guy up and take his because he's got to be wearing $250,000 worth of jewelry. Does that thought ever come into your mind? I mean, I see Kevin Hart; he's got a gang with him, but like, you're like, this guy's wearing $500,000 worth of jewelry.
I think that's silly.
I think that, and
I think it's a silly thing to do.
Right.
I really do. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to rob Dave Chappelle per se, but
you know what I mean, though. That thought comes in like, oh, that's a lot of money right there.
Yeah, and that that's why I'm so happy I got Gio around me, because Gio, we all have our own issues. Gio's in recovery too.
Is that a fellow comedian? You guys have a show together and a podcast together, right?
We have a podcast together. We have a show together, and we met during the pandemic at one of my illegal shows. It's so funny. That's
still a criminal.
Yeah. They were invite only at first, but yeah, I met a lot of people through those shows. But yeah, Gio will be like, dude, fucking, I'm like, I just want to strangle that guy, like not like to where he passes out, but just enough to let him know that, hey. He's like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
And he's like, oh, you can't do that. This is going to fuck us up. And he's right.
Right.
He's right about that stuff. And
I have that with women. I see a woman, I'm like, I just want to make out with her just a little bit. But you can't. You're going to fuck up your life.
Dude, I only started really talking and conversing with female comedians like in the last year and a half. Like, even when we used to book them for our show, I would always have Gio reach out.
Right.
Because I don't want it, because I heard like, oh, everybody's trying to fuck me. And not me. Like,
right.
And I'd be like, all right, Gio, you can take care of that. I don't want to be involved in it. I mean, it's obviously not like that, but yeah. I never want to. Sometimes I'll sit and look at what you're saying, and I'm like, I am the most dangerous person in this room.
Right.
But what a horrible way to, you know what I mean?
Yeah, of course.
So,
of course.
Yeah.
No, I just think about, I think with sobriety from alcoholism, there's like an old thing, like think of the last drunk, not the first drink. You think of a drink and you're like, that sounds nice. Like, finish this podcast, go sit outside and get an IPA.
Yeah.
But you think of the last time you were drunk, like, I know where that leads.
Yeah.
I'll be fucking, throwing up and texting my ex-girlfriend and whatever the fuck. So I imagine it's like that. You're like, God, I could just do this or I could do that, but I know where that would take me.
Even like I had about a little under a year clean the last time I went to jail. I had an old warrant come up, and I just remember I'm like, oh, no big deal, this is fine. But I remember the old timers talking to me about going to jail clean or sober.
Right.
And oh God, what a horrible, horrible feeling. Like, I just knew in my stomach, I was like, no more. I don't want to live like this anymore.
That's great.
I don't want to be in jail. I don't want to die with a needle in my arm.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow. What an incredible story.
Oh, I appreciate it.
Gripping. Yeah. And it's good to hear and good to know. And I mean, I'm like, I don't know you that well, but I'm proud of you. You're like,
thank you, man.
I
appreciate you. I'm proud of you too. Congratulations on your 10 years. It's not a fucking easy thing, man.
No, I always wonder, I'm like, do people, like, I always wonder if like heroin addicts and criminals are like, get out of here with your 10 years sober from your Bud Light and Jaeger bombs.
No, I know how
pussy.
Alcohol, you can actually die from the withdrawal.
Yeah.
Heroin, you feel like you want to die.
Right.
But alcohol, you can actually die.
Yeah. No, it's amazing, and it's great to be able to get to know you and get to know you better here. And I appreciate your openness and honesty, willing to do the show.
Thank you for having me. Can I ask you one question real quick before we get out of here? Do you, or have you, I guess you don't much now, have you talked about being sober a lot in your jokes and your comedy?
A little bit. No, I have a couple jokes now, and I like allude to, I never like tell like a full story or anything, but I had a couple bits about it. Or I had a bit about my mother always referred to being drunk as being happy. Mm-hmm. That was years ago, which was true. She'd be like, we were getting pretty happy last night. And I was like, it fucks you up to connect drunk with happy.
Right.
And people are like, are you happy? And I'm like, I'm not old enough to be happy. I had a joke like that, and I got a couple bits now, but I allude to it a bunch, but don't have a ton of material about it.
Right. Did you used to talk about being a drunk when you were a drunk or no?
When I was, I would have jokes about it. And I was also drunk on stage. I was like a guy that was always like, ordering shots on stage. I was like that guy. I was like, can I get a Jaeger? It's just like embarrassing. I was like, that's my personality. I'm a drunk guy.
I'm the drunk comedian.
I talk about this a lot. Like when I right before I stopped drinking, it was right after Christmas, 2012, and like every Christmas gift I got was alcohol. And it was that thing of like, oh, I'm the alcohol guy.
Yeah.
It's like that's who you are.
They'll get you a bottle of whiskey.
Yeah.
I'm still, whenever I write, it's, even if I want to write about something else, I feel like I always delve into, or just get back right into heroin and prison.
Yeah, I mean, it's who you are.
Killing pedophiles. And
I mean, you're always writing about who you are. So it's like, it's such a huge part of your story, your life.
Yeah.
So it's natural to.
Yeah.
Have you done a one-man show about all this stuff?
No, but I think I'm gonna.
Yeah.
I think because then I don't got to worry about being funny the whole time.
Yeah, exactly.
We can talk about, but I'm sure I'll be able to find something there.
Yeah, exactly.
Talk about being clean and then talk about my brother passing and all that shit. I'll call it the red ticket.
I love it.
Yeah, I'm fucking, but yeah.
Let's do it. I'll be there. All right, Derek, thanks so much for having me.
Thank you, Joe.
Yeah,
I appreciate you.
Plug your shit. Plug your, what's the pod and what's your show and all that stuff. Handles.
Listen to On the Gate podcast on YouTube. Subscribe. Follow it on Instagram. When's this come out, Joe?
I have no idea. I haven't released an episode in years.
And then
I'm soon.
I think. Follow me at Derek Drescher on Instagram and just go to the link tree and come and see me. And, thank you so much.
And you do the show weekly at the stand?
Oh, 23-1 at the stand is a monthly. It's monthly. It's me, Gio Perez, and Sam Santos. Two jailbirds turned jokesters and their homegirl. So
nice.
It's a good show.
Hell yeah.
Joe, you've done it a bunch.
Yeah, I love it. It's a great show. So definitely check out the podcast and follow Derek. And thanks for listening. But hopefully this will be out soon.
Yeah, I had a good time.
All right, and thank you, Mike Albanese on the ones and twos.